Hello. In this video we'll use this random collection of old car parts, a plastic bottle and that old watering can to explain and test the parking sensors in the Skoda Octavia Mk2. Welcome to CarSpyTV. Okay, this particular Skoda Octavia is from 2012 and it has parking sensors at the front and indeed at the back. Now in this video we'll see that the parking sensors are good in many ways, but nonetheless they can miss certain objects, so they're by no means foolproof. So let's take an overview of the system, and we have a sensor here in the right hand corner of the front bumper. Now it is a little tricky to see with the reflection, but there we are. That's the best shot I can get. We have another sensor more towards the middle of the bumper there, a third the other side of the registration plate there, and another one on the front left corner, and it's a similar story for the rear bumper. Now the parking sensors on this particular car emit ultrasonic sound waves. So those sound waves literally fire away from the car and hit objects in close proximity, such as this tripod. Once these sound waves have hit the object, they bounce back off it towards the car. The car then estimates the distance to the object by calculating how long it takes for the sound waves to come back. Naturally, it takes longer for the wave to come back from an object that's far away than one that's considerably closer. Right, enough theory, let's do some practical tests. At the moment, there's the bucket of random bits in front of the car, but it's out of range of the parking sensors, so everything in here is nice and quiet. Now let's get a little closer. So into drive, handbrake off. Here we go. Listen for beeps. There we go. So they've just started and the beeps are fairly subtle. They're not particularly intrusive, so that tells us there's something there, but it's not particularly close. So let's get a bit closer and see what happens. Listen to the beeps again. Hear that? They're getting significantly faster and more intrusive, which means we're getting closer to the object. And now let's get really close. Ready? Listen. There we go, a constant tone to tell us if we don't stop now, we're going to crash. So let's stop now. Now the beeps are very good at telling us there's something in close proximity to the car, and indeed roughly how close, but they don't tell us where the hazard is. It could be here at the front right, it could be straight ahead, it could be to the front left, it could even be round the back. Luckily, this screen in the centre of the dashboard reveals where a hazard is. So, as you can see, we have a rather nice picture of the car here, and have a look here. Around the front bumper we have these lines which go all the way around, and it's the same story at the back of the car here. Well, at the moment there are no hazards within range of the parking sensors, so all these lines are grey and faint. However, if, for example, there was a hazard here towards the front left of the car, the lines of the front left of the picture would light up and change colour, so we know where the hazard is. I'll show you. So I've put some hazards here directly in front of the car rather than to either corner, and I've also put them a fair distance away, so let's see what the screen says. And there we go, just as we'd expect. The lines here furthest away from the front bumper have lit up to indicate there's a hazard here directly in front of the car rather than here to the front left or here at the back. So let's move the hazards a little closer now and see what happens to the screen. Hang on. And there we are. Now all the lines leading up to the front of the car have changed colour to indicate there's a hazard very, very close. Careful, 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 careful. Stop, stop. Phew. So, as we can see, this is a genuinely capable system that has a practical real-world use, and I've certainly been glad of it many a time when I've squeezed this thing into tiny parking spaces. However, even Skoda themselves admit this system is not completely foolproof. Let me prove it. Evidence comes in part via this rather chunky owner's manual, and if we go to page 26,209, there are a few comments worth summarising. So it says down here, pay particular attention to small children and animals as they are not recognised by the parking aid sensors. It then goes on, and I am just summarising here, to talk about rocks and thin posts, and it says, where's it gone? Such obstacles may not be recognised. It then also says here, where's it gone? Certain objects and types of clothing cannot reflect the signals from the parking aid. Thus, it says, these objects or people who wear such clothing are not recognised by the parking aid sensors. So, the system is not foolproof. And let's prove that by deliberately crashing. So I've set up this hazard directly in front of the car. And whereas it isn't a big item, nonetheless, if that was a sturdy piece of wood or metal, it could certainly put a big enough dent in the front of your car there. And if you didn't know otherwise, you might reasonably assume the parking sensors would spot it. Anyway, let's drive towards it, see what happens, and probably crash. Right, I've got the driver's window open so I can hear the sound of shattering glass. So let's see if the parking sensors notice that hazard at all. We'll creep slowly forwards. Nothing so far. No chirps, no beeps, nothing on the screen. Getting closer, getting closer. Not a peep. Ouch! I think I've got whiplash. So there we go. Those are the parking sensors on a Mark II Skoda Octavia. We've seen today that they work well in many scenarios and have a genuine use. However, like any such system on any car, they're not completely foolproof and they may miss some objects. Bottom line, if you're parking in a tight spot, the parking sensors are a fantastic aid, but they're not the definitive final word. They help you, but there's no substitute for looking out the window. Okay, final thing. If you haven't already subscribed to CarSpyTV, you may like to because, well, I have plenty more Octavia content and many other cars. Can you also please do me a favour and click like on this video, and I will see you very soon, preferably after I've had an incredibly big drink, because I tell you what, it's mighty hot here today. Bye.